My name is Bill, and I spend way too much time thinking about how a guy can be truly free financially. If you're someone who struggles with breaking poor financial habits and building good ones, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let's jump into it. Habit number 1, spending what's left instead of saving first. This is probably the most common financial mistake in the world. And honestly, it sounds completely reasonable. Most people get paid. They pay their rent, buy groceries, fill up the gas tank, go out a couple of times, pay their bills, maybe buy a few things online, and then they tell themselves, whatever's left over at the end of the month, I'll save. Look, that almost never works, because there usually isn't anything left. Here's what most people don't realize. Your spending naturally expands to match your income. Economists even have a name for this. It's called lifestyle inflation. The more money you make, the more your lifestyle quietly adjusts. You upgrade your apartment, then your car, then your wardrobe, then your vacations. None of these purchases seem outrageous individually, but together, they quietly consume every raise you ever receive. According to surveys from Lending Club over the past few years, a large share of Americans, including many earning well into six figures, report living paycheck to paycheck. Income alone isn't a guarantee of financial security. That surprises people, because we tend to assume higher income automatically means wealth. It doesn't. Wealth isn't what you earn. Wealth is what you keep. Those are two completely different things. Let's do some simple math. Imagine Sarah earns $5,000 every month. She tells herself she'll save whatever remains. At the end of the month, nothing. Now imagine David earns exactly the same amount. The day he gets paid, $500 automatically transfers into an investment account before he even sees it. After that, he lives on the remaining $4,500. Same income, completely different outcome. If David invests that $500 every month and earns an average annual return of around 8%, after 30 years, he'd have roughly $750,000. Not because he picked the perfect stock, not because he got lucky, simply because he paid his future self first. This is where psychology becomes incredibly important. Humans are wired to prioritize what's immediately in front of them. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Your brain values today's pleasure much more than tomorrow's security. That's why buying a new phone today feels exciting. Investing that same money? Not so much. Because your brain doesn't experience the reward immediately. Think of it like planting an oak tree. Nobody plants an acorn expecting shade tomorrow. You plant it because you know what it becomes over time. Investing works exactly the same way. The problem is, people keep digging up the seed before it has a chance to grow. So here's an easy fix. Instead of saving what's left after spending, spend what's left after saving. Automate it. Make the decision once. Then let technology handle the discipline. Because relying on willpower every month is exhausting. Automation beats motivation almost every single time. Habit number 2. Confusing looking rich with being rich. Look, this one might sting a little, because social media has completely distorted our idea of success. Scroll through Instagram or TikTok for 5 minutes. You'll see luxury cars, designer clothes, expensive restaurants, first-class flights, huge houses, and your brain starts whispering, everyone else is doing better than me. Except, that's usually not true. Here's what most people don't realize. Many people who look wealthy are simply spending money they haven't earned yet. They're financing lifestyles instead of building wealth. According to data from the Federal Reserve, household debt in the United States has reached record levels, with mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit card balances making up trillions of dollars. Debt isn't automatically bad. A mortgage on a reasonably priced home can make sense. Borrowing to build a profitable business can make sense. But borrowing to impress strangers? That's expensive. Let's compare two neighbors. Neighbor A drives a brand new luxury SUV. Monthly payment? $900. Insurance? Higher. Maintenance? Higher. Depreciation? Thousands of dollars every year. Neighbor B drives a reliable 5-year-old vehicle that's fully paid off. Instead of making that $900 payment every month, they invest it. Assume they earn an average annual return of 8%. After 20 years, that monthly investment could grow to well over $500,000. Same street, same neighborhood. Two completely different financial futures. One chose appearances, the other chose assets. Here's the funny part. The truly wealthy people you meet often don't look wealthy at all. Research popularized in books like The Millionaire Next Door found that many millionaires live well below their means. They buy used cars, stay in the same homes for years, and prioritize investing over showing off. Why? Because they understand something most people never learn. Luxury is often the reward of wealth, not the path to it. Now, you might be thinking, Bill, are you saying I should never enjoy my money? Not at all. Money is a tool. It's meant to improve your life. The problem comes when consumption becomes your identity. When buying expensive things becomes your way of proving you've made it. That's a game you can never win, because there's always someone with a bigger house, a newer car, a nicer watch, a more expensive vacation. Trying to impress everyone is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never feels full. Financial confidence comes from something much quieter. Knowing your bills are covered, knowing your investments are growing, knowing an unexpected emergency won't destroy your life. That's real wealth. And unlike expensive status symbols, nobody can take that feeling away from you. So far, we've talked about spending before saving and confusing wealth with appearances. Those are obvious once you recognize them. But the next habit is much more subtle. In fact, millions of people think they're doing the responsible thing when they're actually making one of the biggest financial mistakes possible. Habit number 3, letting cash sit idle. Look, I'm not saying you should invest every single dollar you own. You absolutely need an emergency fund. Most financial planners recommend having 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses in an easily accessible account. That money isn't there to earn a huge return. It's there to protect you when life happens. But here's what most people don't realize. Once you've built that emergency cushion, every extra dollar sitting in a checking account is slowly losing purchasing power. Not because someone is stealing it, because inflation is. Imagine you have $20,000 sitting in a bank account earning almost nothing. If inflation averages around 3% over time, that money buys less every year. The number on your bank statement stays the same, but what that money can actually purchase keeps shrinking. It's like filling a bucket that has a tiny hole in the bottom. At first, the leak seems insignificant, but leave it long enough, and you end up with far less than you expected. Now compare two people. Emily saves $1,000 every month and keeps every dollar in cash. Jake also saves $1,000 every month, but after building his emergency fund, he invests that money in a diversified portfolio that earns an average annual return of around 8% over the long run. After 30 years, Emily has contributed about $360,000. Jake contributes the exact same amount. But thanks to compound growth, Jake could end up with well over $1.4 million. Same savings, same discipline. Completely different outcome. This is where it gets really interesting. People often think investing is about picking the next big stock. It isn't. For most people, successful investing is surprisingly boring. It's consistency. It's patience. It's allowing time to do the heavy lifting. Albert Einstein is often credited with calling compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, whether or not he actually said it. The idea is still true. Compounding means your money starts earning money. And then that money starts earning money. Imagine pushing a snowball down a hill. At first, it barely grows, but the farther it rolls, the more snow it collects. Eventually, it becomes enormous, not because you pushed harder, but because momentum took over. Investing works exactly the same way. The hardest part isn't earning the first dollar. It's waiting long enough for compounding to become visible. That's why people quit too early. Habit number 4, waiting for the perfect time. Here's something almost everyone has said at some point. I'll start investing when I get a better job, when I finish paying off this loan, when the economy improves, when the stock market crashes, when interest rates change, when I have more money. Sound familiar? Here's the problem. There's always another when. The perfect time never arrives. In fact, research from companies like Fidelity has repeatedly shown that one of the best performing groups of investors consisted of people who barely touched their accounts or even forgot about them altogether. Why? Because they weren't constantly trying to outsmart the market. They simply stayed invested. Now, you might be thinking, but Bill, what if I invest right before the market crashes? That's a fair question, because nobody likes losing money. But here's what history tells us. Markets have experienced wars, recessions, financial crises, pandemics, political uncertainty, technology bubbles, housing crashes. And yet, over long periods, broad stock markets have historically recovered and continued growing. The keyword there is long periods. That's why investing isn't about predicting next month. It's about preparing for the next 20 or 30 years. Let's look at two examples. Chris waits 5 years because he's hoping for the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, Taylor starts investing $400 every month today. After those 5 years, Chris finally begins. Taylor never invested more each month, she simply started earlier. By retirement, that head start alone could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional wealth. Not because Taylor was smarter, because time did most of the work. Here's what most people don't realize. Time is actually more valuable than money when you're investing. You can always earn more money. You can't create more time. Every year you delay investing is one less year your money has to compound. And unlike missed workouts, you can't completely make up for lost investing years later. That's why financial experts often say the best time to invest was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Habit number 5, buying things to feel better. Okay, this one has almost nothing to do with math and almost everything to do with psychology. Because money isn't just numbers, money is emotional. Think about the last time you had a really stressful day. Maybe work was frustrating, maybe you argued with someone, maybe you felt bored. What did you do afterward? A lot of people shop, not because they need anything, because buying something feels good. Scientists have studied this extensively. When you anticipate buying something new, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical associated with motivation and reward. The excitement actually peaks before you own the item, not after. That's why online shopping can become addictive. You're constantly chasing the anticipation. But here's the catch. The feeling doesn't last. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. In simple terms, people quickly get used to new possessions. That new phone? Within weeks, it feels normal. The new car? Soon it's just your car. The expensive shoes? Eventually they end up in the closet with all the others. So what happens? Your brain starts searching for the next purchase. It's a cycle that never ends. Imagine trying to stay warm by lighting pieces of paper on fire. You get a little heat, but it disappears almost immediately, so you keep burning more paper. Retail therapy works the same way. Temporary relief, permanent expense. Here's a simple example. Suppose someone spends $250 every month on impulse purchases. Clothes they didn't need, random gadgets, late-night online shopping, small treat-yourself purchases. Doesn't sound terrible, right? But invested at an average annual return of 8% over 30 years. That $250 a month could grow to roughly $370,000. Think about that. Every impulse purchase isn't just costing today's price, it's costing tomorrow's opportunity. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy your money. Life isn't about deprivation, it's about intentionality. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" try asking, "Is this worth giving up what this money could become?" That single question changes everything. Because suddenly, every dollar has a future. Every purchase becomes a trade-off, not between spending and saving, but between today's excitement and tomorrow's freedom. Here's a trick that works surprisingly well. Create a 24-hour rule for purchases under $100, and maybe a 30-day rule for anything more expensive. If you still genuinely want it after waiting, buy it guilt-free. But you'll be amazed how many things lose their appeal once emotion fades. Look, companies spend billions of dollars every year studying how to get you to buy things. They understand human psychology extremely well. The only defense is understanding your own psychology even better. We've covered 5 habits, but the last 2 are the ones that quietly separate people who stay financially stuck from those who eventually become wealthy. One of them has absolutely nothing to do with how much money you make, and everything to do with the people you spend your time around. We've talked about spending before saving, chasing appearances, letting cash sit idle, waiting for the perfect time, and using shopping as emotional therapy. If you fixed just those 5 habits, your financial future would already look dramatically different. But the last 2 habits might be the most powerful of all because they influence every financial decision you make. And unlike the others, most people don't even realize they're happening. Habit number 6, surrounding yourself with people who normalize bad money habits. Look, money is personal, but it's also social. Whether you realize it or not, your spending habits are heavily influenced by the people around you. Think about it. Imagine 2 people each have $1,000. The first person invests it in an index fund earning 8% annually. That's a solid decision. The second person spends that same $1,000 on a professional certification, a technical course, learning a valuable skill, or improving a business that eventually helps them earn an extra $500 every month. Which investment produced the better return? Probably the second one, because increasing your earning ability changes everything. Your income isn't fixed, it's expandable. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming they'll always earn roughly what they earn today. Here's what most people don't realize. Your greatest financial asset isn't your house. It isn't your investment account. It isn't even your paycheck. It's your ability to generate income over decades. Economists often refer to this as human capital. It's the value of your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and your ability to solve problems. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities you create. Let's do some quick math. Suppose learning a new skill helps you earn an additional $10,000 per year. Over a 30-year career, that's $300,000 in additional income, and that's before raises, promotions, bonuses, or investing any of that extra money. Now imagine you invest just half of that additional income every year. That's where the real magic begins. Your investment in yourself doesn't just produce more income, it creates more money to invest. It's like upgrading the engine before driving across the country. You'll reach your destination much faster. Now that doesn't mean every course is worth buying. Not every seminar will change your life. Not every online guru has valuable advice. Be selective. Ask yourself, will this skill genuinely increase my earning potential? Will it help me solve bigger problems? Will it still be valuable 5 years from now? If the answer is yes, it might be one of the highest return investments you'll ever make. So let's quickly recap the 7 money habits that keep most people broke. Number 1, spending what's left instead of saving first. Number 2, confusing looking rich with being rich. Number 3, letting cash sit idle instead of putting it to work. Number 4, waiting for the perfect time to invest. Number 5, using shopping to solve emotional problems. Number 6, surrounding yourself with people who normalize poor financial habits. And number 7, failing to invest in yourself. Notice something interesting? None of these habits require you to win the lottery. None require a 6-figure salary. None require picking the next Apple or Amazon. They're all behaviors, small decisions, repeated over years. Because wealth usually isn't built through one giant breakthrough. It's built through thousands of ordinary choices that nobody applauds. Choosing to save before spending. Choosing to invest consistently. Choosing to delay gratification. Choosing knowledge over impulse. Choosing freedom over appearances. Those choices don't feel exciting in the moment. In fact, they're often boring. But that's exactly why they work. Most people are looking for a secret, a shortcut, a hack, a stock tip, a get-rich-quick opportunity. Real wealth doesn't usually come from excitement. It comes from consistency. Think of your financial life like steering a massive ship. If you turn the wheel just 1 degree today, nothing dramatic happens immediately. But keep that 1 degree change long enough, and you'll end up in a completely different destination. Money works the same way. Tiny improvements, repeated consistently, become extraordinary results. If you recognized yourself in some of these habits, don't beat yourself up. Almost everyone starts there. The important thing isn't where you've been, it's what you do next. Because your financial future isn't determined by the mistakes you've already made. It's determined by the habits you choose starting today. You don't have to fix everything this week. Just pick one habit. Maybe automate your savings. Maybe start investing. Maybe cancel subscriptions you don't use. Maybe read one personal finance book this month. Small wins build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. And confidence changes lives. Years from now, you won't remember the coffee you didn't buy or the gadget you decided not to order. But you will remember what financial freedom feels like. You'll remember sleeping better because you have an emergency fund. You'll remember the moment you realized your investments were earning money while you slept. You'll remember having choices instead of financial stress. That's the goal. Not to become rich for the sake of looking rich, but to build a life where money gives you options, security, and peace of mind. And that's worth every bit of discipline it takes to get there. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel reach more people who want to improve their financial future. Subscribe to Path to Wealth for practical videos on investing, personal finance, wealth building, and financial freedom every single week. And before you go, I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 habits do you think is the hardest to break? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.